This is interesting because originally I thought Baltic State makes up a BS, possibly. I've heard bullshit as another choice. I've heard, Black State. Then there's the airport that they, for some reason, used in by the Bahamas. I don't know why. For letters that whatever. And then this morning on the BS or CBS mornings, they're mentioning something again, a different perspective on this Magnitsky Act. Yesterday I saw it on World News Tonight first. And this gentleman's going around now. He didn't use an underhand, because I'm here as G under in the American perspective of things. I didn't know about it. I wouldn't have allowed it. But they used a dirty hand is what I say it is. If I was speaking to G over. And so, he now has this book. He says he's been a target. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what makes him so special that, he knows who's after him? I'm being targeted, and I've been pushed through some really painful and dangerous situations. And I still don't know who my aggressor is. But yet, this guy actually gets, to know the face of his whatever. And they've made it known that he's an enemy to them. I haven't even gotten that level of human decency shown.
Very few Americans have been personally targeted by Russian President Vladimir Putin, but that's been part of investor Bill Browder's life for years now, since taking on the Kremlin over the death of his friend and lawyer Sergei Magnitsky in a Russian prison. Magnitsky had been investigating Russian government corruption on behalf of Browder's company. That story and so much more is part of Browder's new book. It's called Freezing Order, a true story of money laundering, murder, and surviving Vladimir Putin's wrath. It chronicles his battle to pass the Magnitsky Act, legislation used to sanction human rights abusers in Russia and worldwide. And Browder's also been living under constant threat from Russia. The book is published by Simon & Schuster. That's a division of CBS's parent.
Who lets him know in America that he's under threat? Is there a functioning part of something that says to you, you've become a target of something? Are humans really that decent that they actually alert one another? I haven't found that in, the real world. I haven't found them decent or them, coming to your face and saying, here's what's going on. Here's what happened. Here's where we're at. Here's what we're working on. Never happened from my instance, but yet this guy's got someone who's holding his hand going, listen, you're being targeted and threatened by Putin. Wow, what a lucky guy.
Parent company, Paramount Global, and Mr. Browder. Bill joins us now. Thank you very much for being here. And I do mean that more so than with other guests, because a lot of people in your situation would not be so public. And to be clear, your situation, you are very much on the personal radar of Vladimir Putin, to the point where he's brought you up at global press conferences and proposed trading Russians for you as a prisoner.
Yeah, I would have never imagined 20 years ago that I would be Putin's number one foreign enemy. And here I am in this crazy situation, and it's been going on for many years now, where they've been targeting me with arrest warrants, with death threats, with kidnapping threats, with lawsuits, chasing me all over the world. It's been quite.
But yet he's aware of this. How does one find humans that at least let you know when you're under threat, when you're under warrant, when you're on someone's radar, when someone's purposely targeting you? I mean, because I'm the target of something very serious. I can't even find a hand to hold to figure out who's on the back end of this. But yet here he's claiming that he knows. Yeah, how did he find out? Who was so gracious as to bless him with answers prior to as things are going on? I haven't been that blessed.
What has that taught you about Putin's character?
Well, we're all looking and trying to figure this guy out, and I know him, and what I've seen with Vladimir Putin is that he is a escalator. He always escalates. He never backs down. And his thing is he never wants to show weakness. He never wants to compromise. And from my own experience, watching him in a microcosm, a sort of a one murder situation, he's now doing it on a million murder type of situation basis with Ukraine. And what I'm so fearful of is that he isn't going to back down in Ukraine. That if he is seen to be weak, he will just do something even more terrible. And I dread to think what that's going to be.
He also cares a lot about money, his money. That's what got you into trouble with him in the first place. There was a tax fraud that your company was pursuing, and you determined that Putin himself was profiting. It makes me think that sanctions, if they hurt him personally, might have an effect. Do you agree or not?
I totally agree. So Putin values money more than human life, and he's got a lot of money. I think he's worth north of $200 billion. Oh. And he doesn't keep that money in his own name. He keeps that money in the name of these oligarchs. We all know about the oligarchs with their yachts and so on. And
actually, we don't. If it's not on something like this, when I walk out the front door and when I appeared outside, like when my mother brought me into this world to my behest, I never even heard of a man by the name of Putin until this Ukraine thing. And sporadically they would show him over the last maybe decade or two, but very sparsely. I mean, there was a different set of characters, different set of circumstances, different, I suppose, agenda on the world stage. But no, I've never even heard of oligarchs, no idea their names, no idea what they do. No idea where all your paranoia comes from in the sense of people on the street don't have access to future knowledge, up ahead knowledge, integrated knowledge. As far as what I've been exposed to, I don't know how he got to a higher level of exposure of something. He's a higher level of exposure to humans than I do. My biohazard with humans has been contained.
And so if we want to sanction Vladimir Putin, we've got to sanction the oligarchs. And we're starting to do that right now. And even if he's not saying it, he is seething right now, thinking that his money is no longer available to him.
But let's talk about you, Bill, for a second, because so many people who are working with you, starting with your lawyer, so many people who were helping you in this case are no longer with us. Yeah. I mean, you get a phone call that says, "I don't mean to alarm you, but," never a good way when the phone call comes.
Yeah.
And what were you?
But from who? Like, my phone doesn't ring and people say, "You're in danger." I mean, like, we're looking into something, like why your ex-husband would have tried murdering you, why your parents didn't tell you, like, you should go report it and where to report it. I mean, like, makes one wonder with humans what their purpose is in the machine this broken.
Told in that phone call, why does Putin still want to get you? But
so this was a phone call from a.
How do humans earn God's favor? And like where God actually wants to do things for them. Because up until now, I see a whole lot of them rejoicing and celebrating one another. I really don't see any purpose in them when like shit hits the fan and like real things need to be done.
A senior government official, U.S. government official, to say that there is a kidnapping plot being organized by the Russians to try to kidnap me, take me back to Russia to effectively, to probably kill me. Why do they want that? Because I was going after them.
Interestingly enough, nobody told me when I walked on an airplane that anything might go on or whatever. I mean, like, it's not like concierge service says, "Oh, yeah, I work with God's office, and so far, like, we know you're going to Canada because you were invited there." But like so and so somewhere doesn't like you, and just beware that they might stick you with needles or injectables, and you might not make it to your real targeted location. You might have like missing time or like whatever, but like the real important people know about it. We're just not gonna let you in on what's going on, what we're doing. That doesn't happen in real life. You walk on a plane, something comes through the seat and hits you like a bee sting, and then you're out or you're paralyzed. That's how the real shit works. And then they put you back, like in my case, it was catch and release. They put me back, and then it was like memory erasure. Like as if nothing ever happened. But there's nobody calling you up and going, "There's a death threat." I mean, what level of human is that where they actually call one another and inform one another? I mean, because from what I can see, they just disappear and nobody knows anything.
Their money. Why was I going after their money? Because my lawyer, Sergei Magnitsky, had discovered the theft of $230 million, and he exposed it and was killed over it. And I wanted to make sure that the people who killed him face justice.
You call that the most devastating, heartbreaking, traumatic moment of your life. Do you feel personally responsible in some ways?
I do. Sergei would still be alive today if he hadn't been working for me. And I feel a tremendous burden of guilt.
You seem to be devoting your life now to make...
When Sergei was murdered, I made a vow to his memory, to his family, to myself, that I'd put aside everything else I was doing and spend all of my time, all of my resources, and all of my energies going after the people who killed him to make sure they face justice.
Even though risking your own life. I marvel that you're still here. I'm so glad your wife is with you. You've got children. I marvel that...
I'm sure she marvels. Is that like a Disney reference and they're like clearly divided because they no longer seem like the corporation from when I originally arrived?
that you were still able to sit here with us at the table today.
Well, Sergei was in much more dire and dangerous circumstances and stood up to them, and it's my duty to him to not back down.
You know, I want to go back to something you said, Bill, about Vladimir Putin. You said he never backs down, and he's always looking for the opportunity to escalate. Presumably, our intelligence agencies and the world's intelligence agencies have a similar assessment. So do you believe that if there was some type of an escalation, either NATO or the United States, he would welcome that?
Well, in a certain way, the one thing that the one way you can stop him is by showing strength. That's the one thing he respects. He doesn't respect weakness. He doesn't respect negotiation. And so if we actually stood up to him firm and tough and put up a hard barrier to say a no-fly zone, for example, in Ukraine, to say...
You think we should do that?
I absolutely think we should do that. There's no question.
Even though people say that could lead to another world war.
He's leading us into another world war anyways. But the point is, if we put up a no-fly zone, we say, Vladimir, you put any of your planes into Ukraine, they're going to get shot down. And if we shoot them down, do you want to have war with us? He can't even defeat Ukraine. Does he want to have a war with NATO? He's a guy who respects strength, and that's strength.
Yeah, that is a strategy. Some rational thought from an investor who is a big foe of Vladimir Putin. Bill Browder, thank you very much. The book, his second, the first one was a bestseller. The new one is called Freezing Order. It goes on sale.
Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. And Jack and the Giant. I even said to my children yesterday, I'm like, the Giant and Jack. I was like, no, big on teaching you guys about Jack and the Beanstalk. Remember that when you guys were kids? They're like, yeah. I'm like, right. Giant has one line in the entire story. Remember what that was? And Ben, of course. My kids are like, My kids are in this different world now that I'm stuck here with Nono and Grandma. It's like their entire programming has been changed. When they were little, it was just me and them, safe in the house. Then Tia Frio came and wrecked. He was a home wrecker. And then put a riff because now I had to stand away from my children slightly, but still keep them protected behind me. But far enough in the distance that they couldn't overhear just how much I hated Tia Frio and everything he stood for to keep them protected in integritous state. 1975, by the way. So that put a riff, but I was still able to maintain kiddo, whatever. It just wasn't at the level that I had in Ronkonkoma, which where I was really happy. Once Maple, I mean, again, I just couldn't get rid of him, but whatever. So that was a problem, and then now in their now they've spent 7 years away from me with the attempted murderer and rapist, and his disgusting whatever comes out of his mouth. I don't even know because he's 6 foot under as far as I'm concerned. But now my kids' view of me has changed. But only because it's Lou, Jason, and Tia Frio all ganged up, ripped my children from my protective side, and put me in this really dangerous, disgusting, compromised position where they sold all of the stuff I had accumulated, and they fucking rocked me medically into this dangerous, position where now I'm in, a muscular dystrophy. I blame the three of them because they're the ones that are here and it's at their hand that I'm in this situation at this point. And that's for certain. Otherwise, I'd be in a house with my children and they'd still be protected. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.